I'm Dan Ackerman, and we are here taking a look at the Vizio CT14. This is one of a pretty highly hyped line of new laptops and all-in-one desktop PCs from Vizio, a company that usually makes TVs. You may ask yourself, why are they making computers now? Well, that's a good question. It's actually the second kind of consumer electronics manufacturer getting into PCs this year that we've seen after the Razer Blade from Razer, a company that makes all kinds of computer and gaming accessories. Unlike that system, which was very ambitious but maybe a little bit too outside the norm, these Vizio systems are fairly standard Ultrabooks with some unique design features and some interesting choices as to what they left in and what they took out. I will say for a 14-inch Ultrabook, the CT14 is very thin, it's very light, it really has that sort of consumer electronic vibe to it where they sort of designed it first to be really cool and then figured out how to put all the parts inside rather than maybe the other way around, which is how you get a lot of sort of generic Ultrabooks that you see these days. So definitely thumbs up on the overall design, the size, and the weight. This particular version has a Core i7 CPU. It'll run you about $1,200. There's also a Core i5 and a Core i3 version. They all have solid-state hard drives, which I always like to see in anything that calls itself an Ultrabook. You'll see that the keyboard is probably the biggest departure from current laptop design. Instead of the island-style keyboard pretty much everybody has, these are widely spaced keys that are packed very tightly together. It kind of reminds me, especially because it's got the same sort of light silver gray color, of what MacBook Pro keyboards used to look like, although in this case, it's not really as good. There's a good bit of flex under your fingers while you're typing. Not unusable, but not the best keyboard that I've used. And the touchpad, big clickpad style, but again, not as responsive as, let's say, you find on a MacBook, and clicking down in the corner over here for a right click is a little bit hit or miss. You really got to nail it in exactly the right spot. Now, they've packed a couple of USB 3.0 ports in here and an HDMI output. That's great, but there's no SD card slot, which is really weird. The only other laptop like that I can think of is maybe the 11-inch MacBook Air, and no Ethernet jack, but a lot of super slim Ultrabooks don't have that. I do like the screen in that it's a 1600 by 900 screen, which is a nice resolution for something like this. But it's got a little bit of that wavy quality sometimes you see in cheap screens, even though it's an IPS display, which means the off-axis viewing is really good, and it's actually fairly crisp and bright. So if you're looking for an Ultrabook that has more of a consumer electronics, home theater sort of tint to it, then it's definitely worth checking out this new Vizio line. They take a couple of leaps of faith. There's a couple of first-generation jitters in there, but I'm really interested in seeing what they do for the next round of systems. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that is the Vizio CT14.